Hello, my wonderful artists. So today I'm going to be demonstrating how to get started on your master scribbling. So you can see that I've selected Lady with an Ermine by Leonardo da Vinci, who was created during the Renaissance. I've always loved this portrait because of the fact that, I just think there's some beautiful things going on formally. For example, the sitter and the ermine are both looking in the same direction, so it feels like they're really unified. I also remember once reading that the ermine had been selected to indicate something about the sitter's cleverness and intelligence. And so, who doesn't like a portrait of a smart woman? That's how I feel. There have always been some things about it that have really baffled me. Like, we see this beautiful volume and kind of realism in the eyes, and yet there's something very strange here that happens in the shoulder, but I love it. I think it's so pretty. It's a very kind of circular composition. I think the hand is particularly elegant, as well as the kind of musculature in this sweet little ermine. So getting started, I am going to be having just some real fun with this, and I'm going to be building it up via scribbling. But you can see, in order to make this demo work, I had to make a little change to the paper format. I'm asking you to work on 18 by 24 paper, but to be able to film this, I had to fold the paper in half. Not as fun for me, but you guys are going to have a great time working big, so that way you can really get into your scribbles. I have gone ahead and I've made a border around this. A lot of times people say to me, making a border is so boring, right? And I'm like, I get it. Like, it feels tedious. But if you ever go to frame or mat something, that border is going to be the thing that saves you and gives you some working room as you go through that process. And nothing makes a drawing, I think, look really polished and professional, quite like framing and matting. When we're back at the college together, we have a beautiful mat cutter in the South Santiam Hall, downstairs visual communications lab, and I can teach you how to use it. You can come by my office. So one of the first things that you should note with me is, because I folded the paper, I don't have a good aspect ratio. Right? In other words, this is wider than this. And so I could say to myself, for this demo, I'm gonna fold in just a little bit, and maybe that's what I'll do. Or another way that I could handle it is by bringing up the bottom just a little bit until we had a more similar aspect ratio. And just remember, aspect ratio is just the relationship between the height and the width. So I've gone ahead and I've made that fold, and now it might be a little bit longer than, this part might be a little bit narrower than this part now, but we'll make do. It's closer than it was before. So just like we did with the portraits, we're just thinking to ourselves, okay, let's start laying in those basic marks. And I'm going to try to figure out, okay, how many heads? 1, 2. 1, 2. So we need to have about 3 heads. Oh, I think I can bring this down just a little bit more, this down. And so this first part is kind of like, I don't know, it's not very showy, but it's really helpful as far as trying to get the composition correct. And so I'm seeing that she's got a slight tilt to her shoulders. So maybe I'm going to put in something like that. And then I'm going to estimate that this cute little ermine is going to be just sort of in this vicinity. All right, coming back up here. And the whole time I do this, I just look back and forth between what it is that I'm drawing, lady with an ermine, and then also my drawing. So I'm looking eyes. Okay. Spot for our nose and our mouth. Looking at that dress, the way that curves over that arch of that shoulder. Maybe, I think, yeah, I need to bring that out a little bit more. Oh, I'm realizing I've got some difference here, right? Because this paw would be about here. Oh, yes. All right. So this part I just keep really nice and loose because of the fact that I really want to be able to negotiate and make changes as I go without any kind of trouble. I'm realizing automatically when I look at this, I'm like, oh, I have to let her chin out here. So that's actually going to change the structure of the face some. And right now it's no big deal, right? Because I haven't really developed anything. So I can change that. See this beautiful shadow coming along here? I can plan for that. And I can let out this back part of the head a little bit more. Okay. And so this is how you would really get started with this process, just trying to find those main big shapes. I think the ermine, see, I checked the angle with my pencil. Its little face is actually pointing a lot more kind of downward. And so I would make that correction there. Bring up the hand just a little bit. Dress is coming in to sort of the midpoint. I think this needs to be over here just a little bit more. As I'm looking at this, I'm really starting to feel like maybe I need to make her head still a little bit bigger, which is blowing that proportion between here and there, but I would rather do that and have the head feel right than feel like I don't have it the way that I want it for the drawing. Eye is sitting right out there. So again, just doing this really, really loosely, and then once you have an understructure that you like and you feel like is working for you, then you can start to build the drawing up in whatever way feels good to you, but it has to count as a scribble. So you might say automatically, okay, the first thing I'm going to do is start scribbling some into the background to make sure that we can really see the difference between the figure and the ground that she's on. Something like that. Or you might do just really soft, little tiny scribbles. That's okay with me too. We're going to find that we have a lot of different ways of scribbling. And as you do this, you can make whatever changes that you want. Right, so if I decided I wanted to make her much more stylized and sort of cartoon-like, I can do that here. If I want to change her necklace or something like that, I'm welcome to do that. I could add some sort of strange kind of decoration in that area. Just any kind of changes that you want to make, but riffing off of the original and having fun building up the surface and the value with scribbles. Okay, if you run into any questions, I brought that too far down, but I'd probably work that in. Anyways, if you have any questions, you just email me, okay? So I've continued to just mess around with this drawing as I go, remaking certain parts of the figure. And I can see right now as I've turned this on that there's just so much more development that I would like to do just to sort of play and shade in the figure. So don't be afraid to erase things if you want to. Don't be afraid to be really loose. Don't be afraid to make a weird drawing. I'm going to be so into it if you make a weird drawing, because the idea is just to sort of look back and forth and capture some of the attributes from the master study, but also add your own kind of weird artistic vision to it. So I hope that you have a lot of fun with this project and make something kind of crazy, okay? All right, email me or come to my office hours if you have any questions.